Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club with 4 race starts. We're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red. He's literally bust a whole load of riders out the back of the group. Kalangad here trying to answer it. That bust has happened. They've gone, they're out. It's all over. They've got to work to get back. And even now, as we go over the top, they're continuing to break this up.
The pace picking up now. Well, the pace is picking up because they're on a slight rise at the moment. But they're on a rise and they're chasing Vidal Mare. They're 13-second gap. Can they start to close that down? But Mare will already be over the other side. He's got 22 seconds on X100. He's got 45 seconds on the chasing pack. And he's continuing to set a tempo at around 4.3, 4.4, 4.5 watts per kilo.
Green train at the moment leading up here. They have a gap at the moment. I reckon that is going to be probably about the 25-30 second marker. And then there's another big train of riders, remembering that the top of this climb is at less than half race distance. So at the moment, 5k to go on the bottom of your screens. We've got near a 10k to go on the top of your screens. And this will come down to who has got something left, who can ride that draft, which group is going to come together where.
Keeping it nailed in Category 1. So Justin and Safrazeli, who are continuing. Do you know what? They're stretching the gap, Matt.
I know.
They are now 30 plus seconds clear of the chase group. So Matthias Kalman pushed on early. He went with a K to go. Neville Ross now trying to answer him, kicking at 12 watts per kilo. Newman coming in hot at 9. With Caro and Dabin, but Kalman has got it. He sees the banner.
Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. It's qualifier number 2. It is well, I was going to say it's February. It's March already. You can tell it has been a busy week here. My name's Matt Payne. I'm here in the studio, I think, and I'm alongside Emma Martin. Emma, there's not just us in the studio. A big thank you to everybody who messaged after the women's show regarding Indy, our trail dog, who is down here. My trail dog, Indy, is feeling a little bit sorry for himself. You can see the pictures on Emma's feed. So apologies if you hear him snoring in the background. There'll be no snoring today from our riders. They are in Belgium. We're on one of my favourite courses, if not my ultimately favourite course. It is the men's route. Emma, take us through the course.
Yeah, we are in Belgium today. The men don't hit the Tour of Flanders until Sunday, the 31st of March in real life. But MyWhoosh, well, we got a spring classic early. 45 kilometres of racing, 492 metres of climbing. The first 6 kilometres are pan flat, just the Ghent City Sprint to get through. And then the climbs start. We head up the Kortekeer, they head up the Valkenberg, the Eichenberg, the Quermont and the Passenberg, and then we have the run in to the finish line. This is always an absolute cracker of a race, Matt. It's one of my favourites.
It is, and I love the fact that races like the Eichenberg Hill, which comes before the Eichenberg Climb, which is just about as big, doesn't count as a categorised climb. It's there to catch out the unwary and those who haven't ridden enough before. So all 4 race starts about to take place. You can see the time differences, 5 minutes between categories 1 and 2, 10 minutes between category 2 and 3, and 5 minutes after category 4 go, we will see category 3 leave. But it is our category 4 riders in the red that we are about to see leave the start. We have got here a Level Racing team, Level Racing, Kaluma, Warren and Mokhtari. We've got the Mighty Ducks represented by Kuta. We've got McMurtry for the Anzacs in here. The Power with Jeff Rooney. And of course the upcycle squad, Showboat Maillard, and the winner that you saw, Matthias Kalman, in that upcycled squad. They are your teams, but we've got a massive race field, and Emma's going to take us through those in a moment because we've so many riders in the race field. This is going to take a little while to run through all the riders. Category 4, our first riders. Watch out for an electric start. It is pancake flat for the first 6k, but don't think that makes it easy because we know category 4 are going to go from the gun. We're into the last few seconds. It's time for the riders to get that power going. We're going to hit the race route here in Belgium. It's category 4. Away we go. The race start is away. We're in with Adriano Zanaska as he makes his way in this massive race field through the pens and heading off towards what is going to be a frantic race. If they're racing now, it's only going to get harder later. And Valencia, he's a rider who's kicked out at 5 watts per kilo.
I don't know why I giggle at the start of the men's Cat 4 race every week, because every week someone goes bang out of the pen. They are absolutely fired out of the gun, and it's Valencia this week who is doing the damage on the front of this pack, and we've already got a rider off the back. They are not even 500 metres into this race as Calangad goes up and over the top of Valencia and just continues to keep it going. We've got Valencia on our screen at the moment. Here we can see the rider who's done the damage off the start line. Calangad pushing on now. Valencia, well, back on the front of the pack, finally settling down. We shall see.
He looked a very cool customer there. He got off from the gun and then was easing back down again. Brilliant to see those insights and great work by the team behind the scenes at MyWhoosh. Got to say a massive thank you to all of the team who bring us the images. Now we're in with Mohammed Mukhtari at the moment, one of those riders on the level racing squad. Is it going to be his day today? Well, it's such a difficult question with this course and the randomness of the course. But Emma, tell us a bit more about our riders and Mohammed.
Well, the 51 riders on the start sheets today in category 4. And I know you've taken us through the teams map, but Neville Ross, who finished second last week, is here. Johan Aron is here as well, always a strong rider. Dromard, Tortoretto, Colombari. Nicholas Arago is here as well. Calangad. Mark Dadson was third last week. He's here. Scott Francis Caro is here. He was fourth last week as well. Now, last time we were in Belgium, it was Quadrelli who took the win. Now, Quadrelli and Cridland both have now gone up to category 3, no longer in category 4. So opening the door a little bit, I think, to some of the other riders.
And we know Quadrelli. There's a great picture of him actually on social media out on his bike in the week.
Don't forget, there are 2 Quadrellis.
Indeed, we have both got Enrico and Filippo Quadrelli. Both are absolute class on a bike. We saw that in the MyWhoosh Championships, which is when they came to prominence.
Strong sprinters.
Very strong sprinters, but at the moment, it's looking to me like this group are not necessarily going to contest this sprint, and I think that's going to be difficult because they are moving at pace, 40 kilometers per hour coming in. Quick reminder, if you are new or relatively new to MyWhoosh and to the Sunday Race Club, the sprint and the mountains competition give us a snapshot in because the times and the positions we get are the fastest times through those segments, but they don't count towards the overall. It's not a points race. This is a scratch race, so it's about who's the first over the line at the finish. But Daniel Valencia clearly feeling on form, stretching his legs early. The riders will use these to instigate action to make riders work, particularly if they want the race to be tough, because a lot of the riders will think, well, we've got 6 climbs, 7 climbs en route. That's enough. A lot of the riders will be going, oh, no, it's not. We want to take this to you early, and they attack on the way in and cause that reaction, making people change the pace.
Yeah, well, Valencia went hard off the start. He's gone hard through the first sprint as well with an watts per kilo, 7.2 watts per kilo on that sprint. That is setting the mantle high.
It is high mantle.
A high mantle.
Yeah. Well, if you've got a big fire, you need a high mantle.
You do need a high mantle if you've got a big
all those
fire.
trophies that you've got on top of it. Definitely. Well, we'll see if Daniel Valencia is going to be the man in category 4 to take away the top trophy. Will it be a similar race in category 3? We have got the Italian Espresso squad, the Kigula, Bala, Montella, Manella, and Cusimano level racing, represented by Martin Misa, Allport, and Rimborg. Then we've got the WTBR Team Brazil. They're led by Osmar Vaz, racing here today. They are just three of the teams. There's a big field of riders, though, Emma.
There are 51 riders on the start sheets of Category 3 as well. So you can see how many riders are in this race. And we've got a real mix here. Diduch is here. Cridland, we said, has come up. Kansara took a second win or a third win last week. He is really a rider on form. We're going to need to take a look and see how this plays out today in Belgium. It was Squilari last time we were here. Will he take top spot, or will one of these other riders come up and over and take the win? Well, Category 3, the blue jerseys are up and out of the start pen. The pace is high as well out of the pen here today. And Malice is right up. So is Rinborg. So is Kirk. And well, we did say last week it became a verb to all port. Well, they're all porting again.
Oh, no. Are we going to all port through the teleport down the
Look
road?
at it!
I'll tell you something. Luke Allport is an absolute machine. And it's predictable now that he's going to go. And despite it being predictable, I mean, he's flagged up. He's done a Tadej Pogacar. He said, I'm going to go from the start. I'm going to go here. This is where I'm going to attack. Follow me if you can. And that's what Tadej Pogacar did for the UAE Emirates team in Strade Bianche. An absolutely stunning 81-kilometre break that he flagged up. Luke Allport basically says, start the race. He's going, look at that. He's even smiling. He's got the energy to wave to the camera.
Because he knows he doesn't need to do 81 kilometres on his own. It's only a 45-kilometre race.
Luke, if you would like to do a 45-kilometre solo, just let us know. Good luck.
Yeah, he doesn't want the other 50 riders in the race field to do that. But at the moment, well, Connell is up there, so is Messer. Kirk, Barler, Kaplan, Kansara, the winner from last week, right up in the mix. Matt Smithson is here today as well. Well, he's having a stretch of his legs on the Sunday Race Club. Sanchez, Montoya, Giuliano, all in the mix here today.
Really interested to see how this plays out. Now, Nicol Kansara, really interesting rider for me in amongst this race field because he is a very, very strong rider. Is he strong enough to take this out and take this away? I'm not so sure because he's strong, he's fast, he likes a big climb though, and these are very aggressive kick. Interesting. Paolo Cusimano, just off the back of this group, having to come back in. The Italian espresso man clearly put some decaf in, I think, first thing this morning by mistake, because he's going to have to work now to get back on the group. You can see the effort he's making here. He's going up to 5 watts per kilo to try and make ground on the group. He's not the only one off the back of this pack at the moment, but he's really working, and this is costing energy.
Yeah.
And it's early enough to recover from this if it was a smooth race route, but it's not. It's like the sore teeth on a rasp saw. It is so tough to make your way back in and then do this time and time again.
Yeah, well, he is indeed doing it time and time again. But there is a little gap now forming with the guys at the front of this race field. They've pushed on through this sprint. Are they going to stay out? It is anybody's question to ask. And we're going to see whether they're answering it at the moment. It's Rinborg who is at the front. Agudelo is there as well. So these riders now pushing on. The pace has come off from Allport. Will the pace come off the others? Yes, it has indeed. It's the sprints they're going for, Matt.
It is a good way to wake your legs up. I think one of the key things here is the steep climbs, because they are so steep. I mean, what's our steepest gradient on here? It's about 15% or something crazy. 17%. So it's 17%. So you need to have some strength and power. And if you haven't woken your legs up to that kind of effort, you're going to be in trouble. And I think for me, by kicking through the sprint, by putting those big efforts in, you waking your body up. You maybe don't go at maximum, but you want to get fired up. You want to be moving.
Well,
you want to be moving
can I just tell you that Eric Rinborg is firing on all cylinders because he's gone through that sprint segment at 11.9 watts per kilo.
That is a strong sprint effort through that. That is a big effort. And surely he didn't think that Allport was going to stay clear as Allport, doing an Allport.
They're teammates, Matt.
I know,
and
but
Rinborg is the sprinter. Personally, I think Allport was the lead-out man.
Ooh, That's interesting. I'm sure the guys at the squad at Level Racing will be in touch with us and let us know. Look, do get in touch, Eric. And don't forget, if you want to get in touch, please do get in touch on Instagram. It is, where can we find you, Emma?
Or you can find me at Biking Emma.
It is at Biking Emma. It is at Matt Fix the Pain for me, or at Full Speed Events for Emma and I. Then we're bringing lots of race action. It's not our only place we go to Belgium, actually, is it?
No, it's not. But I just touched on the social media thing. One of our Category 3 riders who is engaging every Sunday with social media and just dropping little hints each week about himself so you get an understanding of who he is, the man behind the avatar, is Henry Yeese. Now, he did indeed drop a social media post last week. He's done the same this week.
Excellent.
Last week's was a little introduction to himself, a little video. Today, there's a little bit more information about what he does. Been a bike mechanic for many years and is about to embark on a career change.
Okay.
Next week, he's going to tell us what that career change is. And I, for one, am looking forward to that. So if you want to follow Henry Yeese on Instagram and find out about the man behind the avatar in Category 3, get on there and give him a follow.
What's his social media tag, Emma? Can you tell us?
Well, if you give me 30 seconds.
About 5.
You have to give me a second.
I got to say, Henry, I worked in a bike shop. It was my first real job, and I left school. In fact, I left school early to go work in a bike shop. So I can definitely agree with changing careers at some point. Henry's East, you can follow him at
Henry 3001 East.
So, and East is spelt
UYS.
So it's Henry. In fact, here he is.
There you go.
He's on the bike already, sat there, keeping it spinning. I can't wait to find out what the new career is going to. We should take bets. Can we take some bets on what Henry's new occupation?
He's going to go work. It's going to change hands.
He's going to work for NASA. Is that going to be what he's going to do? He's going to go work for NASA as a rocket scientist.
Rocket scientist? Well, can he rocket through this race field today and push on through the pack and make it to the top? That is going to be a really good question because this is a huge race field. 51 riders on the start sheets in Category 3. The blue jerseys I was going to say all together, but they're not quite all together. But it is indeed our Category 4 riders who are on the Quarter-Key first. Now, for our new viewers, the Category 4 riders come out of the start pen first. Then there's 5 minutes to Category 3, 10 minutes to Category 2, 5 minutes to Category 1. So 20 minutes separating our Category 4 riders from our Category 1 riders. Well, it's Felipe Tortoretto who is trying to stretch this field at the moment and distance the rest of the Category 4 race field on the Quarter-Key. The gradient currently just shy of 8%, and boy is he doing damage to this race field.
Now they're coming up to the top of the first part of this climb. If you cast your minds back to the profile start of the race, this is a 2-stage climb. So you go up, you ascend, you go over the top, you then descend down, and then there is the second part of the climb. And the second part also has a little step at the top, a little stutter, until you go over the very summit of the Quarter-Key, and then it is a long descent down to the Thistlehoven-Molen sprint, through there onto the Valkenburg climb. It is a really, really important part. Basically, you're not going to win the race here on the Quarter-Key, but you can lose it. And you can see the spread. You can see the gaps opening up on those groups on the left-hand side of your screen. That radar view, well, those dots, those pings on the radar, they're heading off the screen because the gap's really opening as they go over the top here. Adriano Zanasca, absolute living legend that is Adriano. He's in there. And he is in this leading group as they've gone over the top. You can see the revs there as he keeps putting the power down, but they are heading along the flat. They've got another descent yet before they go on to part 2 of that climb.
Well, they are continuing to push on, and it really is starting to break up in this Category 4 race. The first climb doing real damage to the race field. Category 3, well, they are not there yet, but they are very shortly to hit the Quarter-Key. Will it do as much damage to that race field? I don't think that's a difficult one to answer. This, though, Matt, is the Category 2 race field.
The Category 2 race field all ready to go. The Hitman back again. Their biggest hitter, Cam Winfield. We've got the UAE Falcons in here. They are led by Zaid Hamdan and Ahmed Al-Tanaji. Don't forget, we've got the wattage wizards in here. That's Carsten Met and Ruben Danton, the IG Familia. Well, they've got Esteban Gerardo Montoya. We'll see if he is able to take this away. Category 2, they are ready to roll. They are in the same world as Category 1. They need to put down a top-class performance today because this is one of our toughest race routes. 45 kilometres to go. Away from the start, our riders head here in Category 2 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club for qualifier number 2. Category 2 away. The second to last of our race starts with just Category 1 to go. They'll be leaving in 5 minutes' time.
Well, leave it in 5 minutes' time is Category 1, but this is Category 2, and they are motoring at the moment out of the start pen up to 40 kilometres an hour very, very quickly. We've got 1 or 2 riders already off the back of this race field. Ritter is here, Spratt is here, all in the mix. We're in with Sergio Hoyos. It's his numbers that you are seeing at the moment on your screen.
Those numbers across the centre of the screen reflect the riders. The green watts mean that they are in the draft. When they go to white, it means that out the front, they're in the wind, that they are making their own path through. They're pushing the maximum resistance out there. And at the moment, you can see that Spratt is on the attack here. He's got company, and no surprises. It is
Phil Graves. Well, Graves is known for his early attacking, really pushing on here with Spratt. Ritter is there too, so is Hassan Sultan, and we can see Phil Graves on the screen at the moment, riding in front of that Yorkshire flag. That is indeed the Yorkshire Rose. It is the White Rose, the War of the Roses. There's a little bit of history for you.
Oh, don't get me started on the War of the Roses. It's a white rose, which is the best rose to have rather than red rose of Lancashire. I say that as a proud Yorkshireman. It is the independent Greater Republic of Yorkshire, as it's also known. At one time, did you know, here's a random fact for you, that during the Olympics, that had it been a country, it would have been 7th in the world, Yorkshire, at the Olympics.
Well, strong riders come from Yorkshire. It's all that climbing that is in the region, and you'll know that if you watch the Tour de France when it started in Yorkshire. Well, Bjarhead, wow, down in the studio at the moment, you can see also on the screen towards the front of that pack of Category 2 races. They're pushing on with Winfield, with Bengston, with Hoyos. Strong company. Anders Bengston, now he is a rider who has had some great results as well through the weeks on the Sunday Race Club. First last week. Can he do it again?
It's very, I think for me, one of the things is that we've got such a change. Last week's route was
the Outer Loop
in Australia, which is a big climb in the middle of the race route, basically. Big climb in the middle. This is a series of, they're not sprints, they're climbs, but Hassan Sultan going down this sprint, stretching his legs out, 9 watts per kilo coming out from Hassan consistently here and accelerating towards the line up to 9.7. Ruben Dont has gone after him. Now, Ruben Dont is an aggressive rider, and the action of these riders on the front has split the group behind. They've managed to shed a few riders out of the back of the group. Really, really good move here. You don't want to take everybody into this. You want to get rid of people. And if you've got a climber, for example, this is a great way to get rid of them, because responding to these big attacks when it's all about staying in the draft, it is not about just being able to kick big, really important thing. Now, in with Mark Gates here. Good to see Mark from Australia. You can see the green, gold and white in the background there with the Australia flag. And good to see him now looking very, very comfortable at the moment, making his way down in this group. Another rider who we've seen put in some very strong performances.
So Category 1 in the start pen at the moment. Matt, Who is on those start sheets today?
Well, I'll run through the teams. I'm going to take the easier of the two options here because I'm going to run through our teams. For Coalition Alpha, we've got Daniel Churek, David Talbot, Lionel Vujassin, Michael Kaminsky, and Ollie Jones. Paint hosted are here with Christoph Thiem, Jakob Björklund, Yodi Jochums. We've got Mikkel Planteru as well as Arne Jacobs. And for the UAE clan team, the momentum master himself, Pablo Popovic, the man who does so much work, SS in there. You've got their team captain, Mr. X100, and we've got the ever effervescent Michael Knudsen.
Effervescent rather than ever present Michael Knudsen. So Knudsen down on the start line alongside 35 other Category 1 riders awaiting the go, go, go. Away they go. That is the Category 1 race. This is Qualifier 2 in March on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Category 1 are up and out of the start pen. Phenomenal race field today. Bjorn Andreasen, the world champion, on the start sheets alongside Said Safrazadi, who was second last week. Lionel Vujassin was first. Ollie Jones was third last week on that Coalition Alpha Jaws squad. Van Elst finished in fourth place, Van Diemen in fifth. They are all here today, as well as Coburn, USA X-Pro Road time trial specialist, also in the mix today. Going to be interesting to see what our new riders can do versus our riders who are here week in, week out.
Well, I'm going to be really interested to see how they race against people like Zach Nair and Vidal Mayer, who they've competed against regularly. Coburn's going to be an interesting one in there. Christoph Kroll really impressed me last week.
Yep.
Mayer at the moment, though, he's the man on the front, winding it up as they go in towards Ghent, because at the moment you can see we're winding our way through the forest. Basically, it's a bit like riding through the Ardennes forest, but a lot flatter. The first 6K here are pancake flat. It's all about staying in the draft, holding the wheels, and not letting those gaps go. Key here, don't lose the race in the first 6K. Get yourself in a good position coming in to the finish. You can see at the moment the Coalition Alpha Jaws squad. Michael Kaminsky is in there. Morning, good afternoon, good evening, Michael, wherever you are. Michael in with Lionel Vujassin, Ollie Jones, just three of the Coalition Alpha Jaws squad. The Coalition squad are an incredibly strong team.
They are an incredibly strong team. They took the win in the February final. They took the win in the January final. Will they take the win in the March final and keep it rolling for as long as they can this year?
Well, we will find out. No pressure, guys. Not much, honest.
Well, I'll tell you something. They've got so much competition.
Yeah.
You know, they took the win in the February final by 1 minute 52 seconds from the Sweet Potatoes. Back in January, they took the win by 1 minute 8 seconds from the Sweet Potatoes. 1 minute 46 seconds back to the UAE clan team in third. And when you bear in mind, Matt, it's the top three riders' times added together, which gives us the team competition. The riders are so closely packed and so strong.
They are, and this is where we are going to see who is on form, who's wanted to wind it up early. We've seen Vidal Mayer go down the road. SS traditionally will go for the sprint here, and he's doing that. He's at 8.6, 8.9 watts per kilo. We've seen Churek now start to wind up behind him, sitting on the wheels. Daniel Churek of the Coalition Alpha Jaws squad does not want to let SS go too far down the road, just responding, following through with Talbot, with Van Elst, with Panizza. Panizza, another rider who has been improving of late. Christoph Thiem right in the mix. I mean, it really is when we pick names here, realistically, in Category 1, you could pick the whole lot. I could literally put it on the wall, put it on the dartboard, throw a dart, and it really wouldn't matter. You wouldn't be wrong if any of the rider of the dart hit. You could say any one of those could be up there in the prizes in the top 5. Now, these are the riders going in and through the sprint. Interesting mix of riders here. Category 3 in blue, Category 2 in green, Category 1 in yellow. So you can see Don and Sultan that we saw going for that sprint in there. Paris Rimbaud, Kierskowski going through the three that were on the attack. Will Port Eckert right up in the mix as well. Really showing to me that there is a lot of riders who are keeping that pace high even though this is basically midway through that flat first 6K.
Yeah, completely and utterly flat the first 6 kilometres, but wanting the pace to keep high, and that sprint really helping and utilising that sprint as well, these riders, to keep that pace high. Ricardo Panizza with Vidal Mer, they've continued to push, Take a look at that. Turek continuing to ride as well.
So Panizza on the front here, just keeping those races, just winding it up there. Casquette on his head, the little cap on his head. Great style there. Absolutely top style, March. You win the best dressed rider award of the day, if there was one there. Ricardo Panizza, casket the hat. I mean, that is pure cycling class. As a cycling aficionado, stroke addict, as I am, definitely in there. We're going to see how he continues onwards with Vidal Mer for company. Panizza and Mer, your two riders in the lead at the moment. They've got a 5-second gap back to the bunch. They're joined by Turek here, so 3 riders clear. The bunch is at 5 seconds. Now, this is a very early breakaway. Surely they don't think this will stick to the end here. Is this just about softening up the opposition?
Oh, I think it's very much about softening up the opposition and seeing who's got tired legs and who's got wider wake legs today, because you need a set of legs that are fresh, because the climbs just keep coming. Recovery and your ability to recover between these hard efforts is going to be absolutely crucial today as we go up the Kortekeer, we go up the Valkenberg, we go up the Eichenberg, the Quermont and the Patenberg. Pretty much, well, the Quermont and the Patenberg are used regularly this year, as we're going to see on the 31st of March in the Tour of Flanders.
Well, let's see who of our riders is going to be able to be aggressive on the way through. Quite often the attacks here are used not to break the group, but to see who wants this. Send a rider down the road and watch what happens behind. The riders will be watching to see who takes up the chase, who wants this, who is feeling up for this, who wants this to come to a sprint. Looking at the riders, trying to analyse this. If you were out on the Tour of Flanders, you'd be looking across and looking at the face of the riders. You'd be riding up and down that group, seeing who wants to go, who's feeling fresh. Here on eSports, a little bit different. You're looking at numbers, you're looking at stats. Yes, we do get the insets on the riders, but the riders know when that camera's on them and they're not going to give anything away on there, particularly when they're on a climb. Category 2 are on the Kortekeer, heading up towards the summit of part 1 of the Kortekeer climb here. And at the moment, we've got a select group on the front, really stretching this group out. We're seeing 1s and 2s off the back, but that is still a big pack there.
It is still a big pack, but people coming to the fore, riders coming to the fore. Moritz Ritter, Matthias Van He, Anders Bengston. These are the riders we're expecting to see at the front of this race. And as they go up and over the first part of this climb, they are there and leading this category to Racefield over the top. In fact, you've gone in with Bengston as well. The effort, you can see the effort gone in to be at the front of that Racefield. And on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, shot with the avatars and the race, you can see the damage Bengston et al. Have done to the Category 2 Racefield. It is stretched back down the road.
So as the riders try to respond to Anders Bengston and go on the front, Bengston gets out of the saddle to kick back into this group. He's gone to the back of the pack. He's now going to work his way back up and through there. The Category 2 riders going over the top part 1 of the Kortekeer. The leaders in Category 1 are heading towards the base of the Kortekeer, and they've opened up a 17-second, I'm going to say that again, a 17-second gap to the group. The group has not responded. That group has just let them go, and they haven't chased this down. This is a good move now, because this means they have really stretched this out. Nearly at 21 seconds to go on to the base of the climb. That has really opened up. This now, though, is about what happens behind. Who is going to chase? Where did they go? Traditionally, you would kick over the top of the climbs to open the gap, because that is where you'll do the damage, and you can do that without people having the chance to get back on again. Here, we've got riders kicking before they even go into the. We're starting to see a pickup in pace. So if you watch those watts per kilo, you watch the speed pick up now. We're running in. We're about to hit the gradient. Here we go. 1.5, 2.5, 3.5%. Heading for 4. Christoph Kroll out of the saddle here. Keep in focus. You can see you've got to ride. You've got to stay focused simultaneously on that ride. Keep the effort down there. Up at 6, 7 watts per kilo at the moment. He's out of the saddle, stamping down, getting that power down through the pedals and out of the back of that bike. And this is really key here, because as we go in, you do not want to lose touch with the group. They know there's riders in front. How measured can they be when they are going so hard here, Emma?
Well, it's a good question, isn't it, Matt? But Turek, Panizza and Mare, that's a dangerous group to give this type of time gap to. I think that is really... Well, I'm really surprised at the moment we haven't seen the UAE clan team respond. It's going to be really interesting to see how this race plays out as we continue to push on through this race in Belgium.
Well, let's see if it'll be the UAE clan team go. Good to see we've got Sergei Pozhmakov in here. Pozhmakov looking pretty good out of the saddle there, just dancing on those pedals.
Yeah, he looks like a rider who can climb, and he's going to need all his climbing skill today as he faces Belgium with this Category 1 pack, because this is a world-class field of esports riders. Vujacin, Talbot, Van Diemen, SS, Kroll, all in the mix. Ollie Jones is here as well, still with this chasing group, but they are still chasing.
And look at, say, Safrizadi here. He's really giving it some. Look at the effort going in. I mean, we see him regularly looking smooth. He's all over that bike at the moment because it has been a long push up here. They have not eased back on the pressure. You can see the red chevrons on the far right-hand side of your screen as these riders come up the climb here. They are giving it some incredible power. We're talking like 9, 10 watts per kilo coming up here. Big kick.
It's just been 17% under their wheels as we were watching Saeed Safrizadi there. No wonder the cadence was high, no wonder the effort was strong, because the gradient was phenomenal. The gradient now just ticking back down as we come towards the top of the climb. We're going to swing round this right-hand corner, and the group now splitting again.
And interesting to see that going hard on this climb is Michael Kaminsky. They've caught the group that were in the front, and Kaminsky's gone over the top. They've wiped that 21-second gap out. They've gone over the top now, and you've got Pim Van Diemen, the rider with the red hair, the red bandana there. You've got the rider on the front, which is currently Van Elsen. You've got the riders coming through. They are going to break this race apart, I think, on the very first part of the very first climb. That initial attack made there by Turek from the Coalition Alpha Jaw squad with Panizza. They went clear. They took Vidal Mer with them. Those 3 riders are in this group. And whilst they maybe wouldn't have stayed in that group if they had been in there when the attack had gone, because they were clear, they were able to ride that little bit easier on that section of climb when everybody else was on the rivet to go with that move. And now this group, it's a big group. They've shed riders on the way up. I can't wait to see what happens as we go over the top of the next part, because it gets steep at the very top again. You see top right hand side of your screen, we're currently on the flat, and that is the white line is the course profile coming up. It moves from right to left. The yellow vertical bar is where our riders are at the moment. We're about to drop down, and then we go on to part 2 of the Cortakia. This is the leading group at the moment. There are riders all over the place. Interesting to see here that Yusuf Mirza El Hamadi is just a little bit further back. It looks like he's on the wheels of Yoda Jochems at the moment on the climb. 2 very good riders. They're ahead of Jakob Bjorklund. There's a number of riders today who are, I think, going, do you know what? I'm going to save my energy. They're going to just be a little bit careful here. It's a long way. We've got a big month. It's March. We're going to have to wait to go in. Mirza in here looking pretty smooth as he goes over the top. But these riders, You can just see his heart rate there, 175. He's still working hard.
Yeah, he is indeed working hard to stay with Jochems, stay in the mix. And why wouldn't you be working hard if you got to the top of the quarter gear climb? It's a really big effort wherever you are in the race field. And X100 here now working his way back on to the leaders in the Category 1 group, continuing to push, continuing to work. That's the pack ahead. That's the pack he's chasing.
I've got a complaint to make to Mr. X100.
Oh my gosh.
I have. He's wearing a white helmet. He always wears red helmet or red glasses or red bandana. He's got white helmet on now. I'm going to get so confused now with it not being a red helmet or a red bandana. Clearly a change here for Mr. X100. That is actually going to, it's not just me who's going to find that more tricky. That's a lot of our riders who are going to find that more tricky, because those visual markers are really key, knowing who's where. He's on the move. He tried to close down on the descent, use that momentum to come on. He's now winding it up. He's heading towards Zach Nair. Nair has been distanced by this leading group. So at the moment, we've got this group on the road. We've then got Nair. Then we've got Mr. X100 closing. And we've got chasing riders all the way down the slopes here of the quarter gear. The summit is round the corner. They take this left-hand turn. It's a very tight left-hand turn around the top. The banner comes into sight, so over the top they go. Let's see who's going to take that fastest time up here. Category 1 should have that. The pace up here has been ferocious.
Well, a ferocious pace from the leading group in this Category 1 race. Through the mix here, Pim van Diemen is the rider who's going to take that polka dot skin suit in the Category 1 race. 6 minutes, 22 seconds, but take a look at that. 6 riders all within 1 second of that time. Yasin, Kroll, Van Elst, Talbot, SS, then Jones, then Noren, then Knudsen, and rounding out the top 10, Christoph Thiem in the mix there as well. 13 riders in that leading group, I think, at the moment. Maybe a few more. I'm going to do a little bit more counting while Matt talks.
Oh, in that case, I'm going to talk about Pim van Diemen, because you can see Pim here. His fan is blowing. I'm loving the medals all racked up behind him there. In camera shot, you've got the bike helmet, you've got the bottles. Quickly on with the gel here. Fueling up is key. Now, the races on esports are much shorter. If you're going out and doing a grand tour, you could be out there racing for 7 hours, 8 hours on a big stage. The riders here, they're racing generally around about the hour and a half marker at the most. You've got a very, very intense effort. So having fuel available in those muscles, getting that on board is not always easy. Getting the timing right is critical. Interesting to see, putting that gel down now. We are currently in about 16 minutes of time. And a lot of riders will have a marker in their head. We're going to try and go at, say, every 15 minutes with a gel, or I'm going to go every 20 minutes or every half an hour. Interesting to see he's done that there at the top of the climb, because you've got to adapt to the climb as well.
Husbandry.
Yes, it is husbandry. That is another, along with whittling, a great old Anglo-Saxon English term. I imagine husbandry and whittling are both Anglo-Saxon rather than Norman. I'm going to look at
husbandry. That is
the
what I used to think used to win long races.
And it can win shorter races as well. They're not that short, 45k flat out. And at the moment, Vidal Mer is active again. He's on the move. Lionel Vajasin chasing. SS now on the heels with Michael Knudsen behind as well. This is an interesting move. They're starting to catch 1 or 2 riders in the previous categories as they make their way down the straight at the moment. Knudsen knows that the rest of this group are coming together here. There's a long, steady section coming up. I say steady because it's not a steep descent. It's not a steep ascent, but keeping with the group is key. And there is a good chance here that Nicholas van Haren should be able to stay with the riders. He's a Category 2 rider who is in the mix here, because if he can stay in the draft here, he's got a good chance of making his way and mopping up a number of other riders who are further up the road than him, who got over those climbs in a better position. They're making the way down towards what is going to be the Thistelhoven-Molen sprint. This is the sprint on the way towards the Valkenburg climb. And at the moment, SS looks like he's winding his legs up for it. And he's making this race hard again, not just on the climbs, but on the sprint sections, because you don't want to let SS go. Michael Knudsen, 3.5 watts per kilo, whilst SS goes off down the road. His teammate disappearing off. Nuss's not going to chase him.
No, definitely not. And the UAE clan rider, well known for keeping going after a sprint, not just going through a sprint section. So SS setting the fastest time through that sprint, 10 watts per kilo. We saw the effort going in, 20 seconds, 0.275. In fact, Sultan from Cat 2, Rinberg from Cat 3, the next two riders. So you can see the effort going in from our riders across the categories, particularly those targeting the sprints.
Hassan Sultan, Ruben Don, Eric Rimborg, all going for sprints and equaling Category 1 times up there. Even though they are not Category 1 riders, it shows you just how hard they are working and how much they are pushing. Now, we're going to go back to the front of the Category 2 race where we've got Cam Winfield and Martin Trojanowski who have opened up the gap. It's going to be Paul Kalita who's chasing here at the moment. Van He, Bjarthead are right behind, though. These riders working hard at the moment. They're at 16.9k, so they are still about a kilometre off the base of the next climb. And as you can see from the profile, there is a slight dip where you can gain momentum to run into the climb of the Valkenburg. The Valkenburg is a relatively consistent gradient on the way up. It's got a little dip and rise, and that is going to jelly the legs if you're right on the limit, because that easing of gradient and then that kick of gradient again at the very top is very, very nasty when you are on the limit.
And this is about kicking on the descent of that drop to pick up speed and utilising speed as your friend as you roll onto that climb. We're in with Khan Kayan at the moment, and you can see the level of concentration staying in the pack, dropping his heart rate. He wants to actually be in the right position before he faces the Valkenburg climb, and he wants to stay tight in with this group. Now, Anders Bengtsson is in the group with him as well. So is Burke Kayan. Nicholas Spratt is in here. Sergio Hoyas is not in this group. He's part and parcel of the chase group behind, having now been dropped from this leading Category 2 field.
The gap now 16 seconds or so back to the Milostic group who are chasing. The race splitting apart in Category 1, in Category 2. It's split apart in Category 3, but it is the bigger of the bunches at the moment. In Category 4, our riders are lined out because they're going over the top of the climb at 25.6k, and they are at the top of the Eichenberg Hill. These riders absolutely on the limit. So if you're watching us, please do make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. We've got some great video on the YouTube, and I think we've got a little bit of a teaser coming up for you to show you something that's heading your way soon.
We pay these athletes a lot of money each month. We push them to their max. It's supposed to be hard. The courses that we use are difficult. The racing is hard. There's no room for sandbagging in what we're doing. Only after testing, we get to see their true performance and validate their numbers.
Well, great to see the riders in action there. They're down in MyWhoosh HQ. The full video is going to be heading your way very shortly at the end of this race. Do have a watch. We've been talking to the riders who were there, and we know what they've been up to. We're not going to give you any spoilers on what's been going on, but I have to say, really, really interesting. Whether you're interested in the emotion, the effort that they put in, whether you're interested in the number, the stats, the geekiness of it all, Emma, it is definitely something in there for everybody. So please do have a look. The way to get notified, make sure you subscribe to the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. Subscribe to MyWhoosh Live on Twitch TV. Tick those boxes. Give them a follow. Really, really important for MyWhoosh. If you can give us a follow on social media, you will be advised on the way when things happen, when things are coming your way. Give us a follow. It's at Matt Fitzpain and at Emma Martin. You need to be on social media as well, because we will be putting out on social media the new times that are going to be coming out. This is for Ramadan, and this starts next week. I'm going to give you those very quickly at the moment and give you a heads up here on the show. It will be coming out for the men's race from next week, because we will be shifting to be after dark during Ramadan. In the men's race, category 4 will be the first riders away as usual. They will be heading out at 16:40 GMT, 20:40 GST. So Gulf Standard Time, 20:40 or 8:40 in the evening. Category 1 will be the last category to go. They're going to go at 1700 GMT, and that is 2100 or 9 p.m. GST, Gold Standard Time. So, guys, if you are racing, make sure you get your calendars sorted. For us here in the UK, for Emma and myself, that means we're going to get a lane for a little bit during the course of that. I'm going to be looking after the dog. That's what I'm going to be up to. Probably Emma, knowing her, will be out on the bike somewhere or on the bike and taking the most advantage she can of getting a ride in the morning before we do the Sunday Race Club. But we will be bringing you all the action. The shows will overlap, and in the men's and women's, it means that you're going to get a split jump across from one to the other, and it means even more reason to watch them back later. So please, please, please do join us for that. But a quick reminder, the men's race, the first riders away, 16:40 GMT, 20:40 GST. And the last riders, category 1, will be going at 1700 GMT, 2100 GST. Really, really important, guys. You remember that the times will change next week for the duration of Ramadan.
Well, our riders moving on up the climb, frantically scrabbling for pen and paper to write that down, Matt.
Good luck writing that.
Breathing really hard with a heart rate of 175.
That's why you got to watch the videos back.
That's right. You need to watch back today to pick up that information, because they're not going to be able to write it down right now.
I'll be impressed if anybody does, but somebody will have done. You know what it's like. There's always somebody who can multitask. Well, Johan Noren, even, who is not just multitasking. I think he's a singular focused at the moment. He's gone off the front now. He's done this before, and it's not what today. Noren is absolutely blitzed this, because he's gone as they go into the start of the Valkenburg climb, second climb of the day. This is relatively shorter. It's 1.3 kilometers long. It's a historic climb. And at the moment, Noren, he's already gone past Hassan Sultan, who's absolutely flying at the moment in category 2.
Noren is not the type of rider you want to let get away on this course, because he can climb, and he can climb really well. So Noren, really tactical here, attacking just at the base of the Valkenburg climb. He's going to go up and over. He's got 12 seconds clear at the moment. Sultan is the rider between him and the chasing category 1 pack. Now, the chasing category 1 pack being led by Kroll. SS is there. So the UAE clan team putting SS right at the front of the chase group as they continue to motor. But Noren, I tell you something, he is moving on, and he is using this group of category 2 riders to perfection on the Valkenburg.
And the speeds are high. We're talking 32 kilometers an hour at the moment, and that means the draft is key. Christoph Kroll now using that same tactic here. 8 watts the kilo as he kicks into this group. He's going to use the advantage of taking draft from them on the way through. He's chasing Noren, who's come out the other side. He's got clear air in front of him, but he's coming up to another slight kick. As you go up, you can just see it leveled out a little. It went to sub 3%. It's now climbing again as we come up, and it's going to continue until we get to the top of the climb. And then on the top of the Valkenburg, we've got the long transition across the lake top where you go through the water. It's basically flat on the top, and that is regroup time. If you're not in by the end of that flat section, you ain't in this race.
I think what's really interesting here, the tactics today in this category 1 per race playing out are about attrition. They are about how much can we hurt everybody's legs. They know that there are a lot of riders racing a lot of races at the moment, and this is right in full season. So they are continuing to attack, continuing to work, and continuing trying to break the legs of their competitors.
Here we go. These are the results of that climb. SS, not the first over the top, but the fastest time up the climb, because he is the rider chasing Johan Noren. And Noren, not figuring in the top 9, shows just how hard they were working to close that gap down. Now, you'll notice there that this doesn't equate to the highest watts per kilo. It doesn't equate actually to the highest watts for the fastest time, because of course this is about dynamics, and the speed is so high that aerodynamics play the part and drafting are playing the part in that. That is the leading group at the moment. It looks like that's about 12, 13 riders to me. Emma's probably be able to give us a better indicator on that, Emma. Or there's some counting going on. That's the silence.
Well, yeah,
Can you hear the cogs whirring?
I was just looking as we've got 2 Category 2 riders in the group at the moment. Now, we did have 14 riders in the leading group in the Category 1 race prior to the Valkenburg. I think that's 12, but don't.
So it's not far. That was my.
Don't hold me to it.
My visual estimation. I'm not going to call it a guess. This was a visual estimation. Was I think going to be correct there? 12 to 13.
Is that your visual estimation?
12. Yeah, that was my visual estimation. Looking at that, because I didn't count them. I didn't physically go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because everybody would have heard me. Because I always end up counting aloud. Okay, so we're on at the top of the Valkenburg. We've gone over the top. We're now into the descent. This is the second of our categorized climbs here. After this, the next climb is the Eichenberg Hill. Now, this is not a categorized climb, even though it is incredibly painful, incredibly steep, and it's tough to ride, having gone out and ridden this on MyWhoosh. I haven't had the pleasure or displeasure of riding it in the outdoors world. Our riders, though, well, they are in very different states depending on where they are. Andrew Neville Ross, right-hand side of your screen, Category 4, 31k in. We've got Henry East. He's our Category 3 rider, 28.8k in. We've got Phil Grays, 24.2k in at the moment in that big pack of Category 2 riders. We're in with Johan Noren at the moment in Category 1. He's the rider on the breakaway solo, but we're back with East in Category 3 in that leading group at the moment, clearly being inspired by the change in his career. Maybe he's going to take up being a pro cyclist. Off the front at the moment of this group, and he's giving it some. He's making them work over the top of the climb. 29.1k means he's over the top of the Eichenberg climb. They've done both the Eichenberg hill and climb that come in quick succession. And by winding it up here, it's a long run between here, relatively long run between here and the next climb,
but
which
look
is the
at the
Quermont.
speed. Look at the speed. He pushed on over the climb. He pushed on into the descent. 95 kilometers per hour at the moment at the bottom of that descent. And that's because he's used the momentum. He used the speed. An absolutely beautiful piece of riding off the Eichenberg climb and onto the flat run to the Quermont. Now, the last 2 climbs facing these riders today, the Quermont and the Passenberg, they are the last 2 riders that the riders on the Tour of Flanders will face on Sunday, the 31st of March. So our riders and racers on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club today getting a very similar run into the finish line that the pro riders on the Tour of Flanders will see at the end of the month.
It is classics time. We've had an absolutely blinding set of classics. Actually, we've seen some great racing in the Paris-Nice, in the Tirreno Adriatico. We see great racing every week here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Those monuments of the sport coming up right the way through to Milan-San Remo. Really looking forward to that. But you got to say, Belgium and the Classic, it is a tough course, whether it is out doors or it is on MyWhoosh. One man who we know is very, very strong. The tougher it is, the stronger he goes. Marcin Trojanski looking good at the moment on the front here. He's got Cam Winfield. That's a man you don't want to let go in a sprint. And Nicholas Spratt, as well as Paul Kalita in this group.
Definitely a really interesting group as they go far past the flamingos. Have you ever seen flamingos in Belgium?
No. I've seen them down in the south of France, in the Camargue region of France, which is where they are frequently there. I haven't seen them in Belgium, but I'm not saying they're not going to be there, but I wouldn't imagine they're in the forest.
I am going to
They'd be very vulnerable in a forest.
Could you imagine? I just thought it was just a bit cold, wet and grey in Belgium for them. But anyway.
That's all. That's you blacklisted out of ever going to see a classic by the local Belgian population.
I know. Well, our Category 2 race, this is the chase group, and the leading group have just gone round the bend in front. This is the leading group of 4 riders in the Category 2 race. Winfield, Spratt, Troshanowski and Kalita, the 4 riders at the front of this Category 2 race at the moment. They are 7 seconds clear.
That's not a lot.
Think that,
that's not a lot.
No, I'm looking at the riders behind. You know, we have got some class riders in that chasing group. They're not going to stay out there, are they, Matt?
Well, it depends on what this group do here. If this group are smart, they accelerate on the downhill. This is the top of the Eichenberg Hill. This is the uncategorized climb. They're going to drop down into the Eichenberg climb, which is the transition between the two is very short. And it's about making the most of that downhill. Now, in the group in front, I can see some very low numbers. Matthias Van Heet here is winding it up. But again, I'm not sure that they're going to carry enough momentum on to close the gap down enough here. This is, as you said, it's about momentum. It's about power. Henry's technique was superb last time. They're going to come on to them, but will they have done enough to close that gap down? They are a bigger group. There is more draft available. You can see the numbers here for Van Heet are in the green, top of your screen. That means that he is in the draft. So will it get caught? We'll have to jump in to find out. We're going to go across to Category 1. We're in with Pim van Diemen here. They're starting to make their way through the Category 2 riders, but this climb, as you go up onto the Eichenberg Hill, they're not that far behind the leaders of Category 2, are they?
They're not. The Eichenberg Hill, 1.4 kilometres, an average gradient of 4.3%. They come straight off down this and into the Eichenberg climb. So as we've seen in Category 2, this is a perfect opportunity for an attack because you go up and over the top, then you drop down at fast pace and you take that momentum into the Eichenberg climb and you get to go again. So whilst not a segment in this race, for us to have a look at the time, a very clear and strategic part of the race for any potential attack.
Having a double climb like this so fast together, it really does suit some riders. Some riders absolutely love it. For me, I would absolutely love this species if I was on form. And it is one of those parts of the course, if you are going well, if you are competitive in your race field and you're having a good day, then it's going to be really good. If you are having a bad day, because there are 2, even if you hang on number 1, you know that you're not going to get much recovery by number 2. And therefore, if you are more of the nail than the hammer, you are going to get a really tough time. If you're the hammer at the front absolutely driving this home, you're going to be loving this because you can go smack, 1 done, smack, 2 done, and you do damage. You have absolutely really driven that nail home. It is really, really important for me to see how you're going. This isn't a time now to see what response you get. This is a time to make the move because it is so critical here. And the distance is key as well. Look at the time. We're now heading for nearly 40 minutes of racing in. Anybody who's got their fueling wrong, anybody who had a good start, but maybe hasn't got the endurance is going to be struggling now. And as we move from here to the finish, that's going to become more and more apparent.
Theme in the group here: Van Diemen, Vujasin, Jones, Van Elst, Knudsen. Excellent 100 as well. You know, he chased on Matt and he got back into this leading group. The group really strong. They are continuing to roll over the top of the Eichenberg Hill. They will drop and descend into the Eichenberg climb. Then they have a just shy of 7-kilometre run into the finish. The finish that is coming up in front of them is the Quermont climb. It's 2.2 kilometres with an average gradient of 4.2%. It's the longest cobbled climb in the Tour of Flanders, and it is being used multiple times this year. They then run down off of that and into the Pattenberg. It's a short climb, you know, it's 400 metres, but the gradient, an average gradient of 8.5%. Then it's a 1.7 kilometre run to the finish for our riders today. Who is going to come across that finish line first? We've got 4 race categories out on this race course at the moment. And, well, At the moment, I don't think there's anybody who that I am going to bet is going to take the win yet.
No, way too so. It's just so risky, isn't it, with this repeated climbs? The Eichenberg climb being covered over the top was going our leaders, Brad Mendakowicz, Trajanowski, looks like Alami in here. The whole group coming together as they come over the top. We got this rundown now. It's likely to open up, but the leaders go over in category 2. Category 1 are between the hill and the climb, so between Eichenberg Hill into the dip, and this is the start of the Eichenberg climb, the categorized one of the pair. As we make our way through, the top of this climb comes at 29 kilometers. It's not long, but it is steep, it is nasty, and it will do damage. This is the leading group. How many will be left at the top? We will have to find out. All 4 groups well underway here. Category 4 currently at 37 kilometers. We've got 35k for category 3. We've got 30k for category 2. And our category 1 leaders, they are approaching 28 kilometers with a kilometer to the top of the summit. This is tough stuff. We are on the Eichenberg climb. Let's take a look at where that is in the big scheme of things here in Belgium on the course. So the riders have gone over the Kortekeer, the 2-stage climb. They've gone over the Valkenburg to part 2. They've gone over part 1 of the 2 in the middle of this race route. We then have a long flat section to the finish, the Quermont climb and the Pattenberg, then the run to the finish. And this run in, because again, there is not a long way between Quermont and Pattenberg, you have to go into that double ender, that double finish with a good amount of energy left. And recovery between the Eichenberg climb and the Quermont is key here to being able to do that, to be able to go in at full strength. Emma, where would you go if you were coming into the Eichenberg climb? You're in that group going over the top as we are seeing. You still got people around you, not solo. Where do you attack that group? Do you go on the Quermont? Do you go on the Pattenberg, or do you wait to the end?
Oh, I think the attack point is the Pattenberg because it is just so short and steep. And then you've got a 1.7 kilometer run to the finish. It's about holding on here today. It really is, because we've seen the groups that have gone away so far all brought back in because of the nature of the climbing.
Well, let's see if that's going to be the case. Lionel Vujassin on the attack in category 1. Category 2, that group rolling together. They're a little bit further down the course at the moment. You can see this group, Jones now pushing on the front. So the Coalition Alpha Jaw squad keeping the pace tough in here. They've got Kaminsky up there as well. They are massing on the front as a team. They're showing their strength. The Coalition squad, one of the biggest esports teams out there, and they certainly bat well above their size because they are looking good again here now. Van Elst is chasing in this group. He's the rider we're in with. He's took nicely in the mix here. Now, don't discount SS here because he is in and he's been relatively quiet. So has Michael Knudsen relatively been quiet in this group. But I think at the moment, Coalition are bossing this on the front and are really saying, you know, we're going to close this down. We're quite happy to let this go right the way in as a group. We have lost another rider going over the top of the climb. We're going to see if they can make contact once again. But this descent is quick. And then we're into the flatlands. And if you're not in the draft, it's going to be very difficult here.
My question today is Knudsen truly back? Knudsen been part and parcel of the UAE clan team for a long time now, coming back into form after illness at the back end of last year. But here it's all about Pim van Diemen on the Eichenberg climb. 2 minutes 52 seconds. Noren, Kaminsky, SS, Knudsen, Panitza, Safrazadi, Jones, Van Elst, Vujassin, Mayer, Kroll and X100. 13 riders in that leading group.
Well, let's see if they can hold this together to the finish, or will somebody break clear? We're about to hit the base of the descent here. You can see that gradient scrubbing off very quickly, and that means that now we're on a slight drag up here as we come off the base of that climb. The group really working well at the moment. Not quite sure who's just off the back of the group. It's Mr. X100 here. Now, he is digging deep in here. He knows he's on limited time to get across. It's a 4-second gap. This is where he's got to work. You can see he's putting out 7.5 watts per kilo. It's just dropping down now, and I'm not sure he's going to make this junction. I think they know who they've dropped, and they do not want to get him back because they know he is dangerous, and he's going to work for SS. They want to isolate the members of the other teams, and if I were a member of the other teams and I had somebody out the back, I would not be letting them come back in, but you are fighting against Mr. X100. This is a determined chase here. 6.7 watts per kilo. He's got it down to 2 seconds now, the gap. You can see he's coming in towards them. There's been a move off the front at the same time, simultaneously as they're coming in towards the back of the group, and I think it's Pim Van Diemen who is wanting to rip this up. So Pim Van Diemen does not want to let Mr. X100 get on the back, but he's made it. I think he's got on the group here. Pim Van Diemen now winding it up on the front. Vujassin has gone with him as well. And this is really, really mean because the moment that Mr. X100 got on, they've gone off the front. The focus was on the back of the group. They've attacked on the front, and that means that the pace is going to start winding up again after them. Who's going to lead the chase here? It may well be that SS is on the front being told to bring them back in again. It may well be that he's telling everybody, hang on, I'm bringing them back in again. But the outcome potentially could well be the same, that these two will be pulled back by SS. There's some proper work being put down here in Belgium here today on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club as they come back into town once again. They've had a tough old day out so far, and we've still got the Quermont and the Paterberg to come.
Yeah, well, the transition between the Eichenberg and the Quermont for me is the last opportunity really for anyone to get back onto this group, or anyone who doesn't have climbing legs to attack, because once they get to 36.6k into this race, they are going to be up, down, up and into the finish, and it's all going to be about who has got the legs for these final two climbs. The Quermont kicks at the start. It's 2.2 kilometers in length. The Paterberg tops 16% on the run into the finish. It's all about, are your legs able to do this today?
And we're a long way from the finish. We are currently 12.5 kilometers from our finish line. This is not the finale. This is a midway through the little pause between the main course and the finale, the dessert. It is that gap between, it's that flatland transition that takes you from one area to the next. Now, further up the course, currently at 40 kilometers covered, you have the leaders on the road. There are category 4 riders in the red. They're on the right-hand side of your screen, and they are on that little platform on the descent down the Quermont. So when you've ascended the Quermont, you have the first part of the descent, you have a flat platform, and then you have the second part of the descent that is almost as long, if not longer, than part 1. You then go very quickly into the Paterberg. So at the moment, the rider's now dropping down into part 2 of the descent. The Paterberg starts at 42.9k. So they have 2k to the start of the final categorized climb in category 4. The gap that they have at the moment, well, they are currently at 41.1, at 33.2. Category 1 leader is Michael Knudsen, who is on the front of the group. He's ripping this up at the moment. He has not broken the group, and they have answered him very quickly. When they look at people to let go down the road, they're not letting Michael Knudsen move a millimeter. That group should come back together again. Category 2, well, they are still a big group. They're stretched, but it's a big group. In category 3, the blue on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, they're also on to the descent now of the Quermont. And at the moment, it looks to me like Largo and East are on the front trying to break the group apart, but that are coming back together.
18 category 4 riders in front of the leaders of the category 3 race at the moment. Will we see the category 4 riders go over the line? They were the leaders on the road from the start because they started first. So our Category 4 riders were the first race field out of the start pen today. They have got 2.8 kilometres to go. Matt's jumping up and down in the studio because this is exciting stuff. Our Category 1 race field were the last race field out of the start pens 20 minutes after our Category 4 races. Knudsen now coming to the fore at 34.4 kilometres. They are on the final run into the Quermont climb. They've got a little kicker coming up ahead of them, and then they hit the Quermont at 36.6k.
So Category 1, Knudsen's woken up. He's on the move. You've got Safrasetti in there as well. Van Elst in there. Just in there. Pim van Dieven looking very strong today. They're on the move. Left-hand side of your screen, and the pressure's on. Right-hand side of your screen, Martin Trojanowski looking like he's got a little gap on Bjarhead at the moment as they come into the Quermont. They're at 38.7k. So, sorry, 36.7k coming in. And that means they're at the base of the climb, and he has got a gap. Can he hold this or extend it on the way to the top? That's difficult. Abitko, Ken, Winfield, Van Hee, who's got that climbing jersey, the polka dot skin suit. This is going to be about who has got the strength here to take this over the top. They are closing in on riders in front in Category 4. Marcus Brito of Brazil just being passed here by Trojanowski, the rider who is leading this Category 2 charge up here, and they are motoring. We're on a 5% slope at the moment, and Trojanowski looking incredibly strong here, making his way up over the top. We are just hovering up over the top of Largo there. We've got Valencia in Category 4. They're a little further down the course. There are riders in Category 4, and do you know what? They are now heading into almost 3k to go. This is running in off the descent. It will level off in the tunnels, and then we will be on the climb. But these riders are chasing a leader up the road at the moment. This is going to be absolutely frantic.
Can I tell you, the only thing snoring during this race today is the trail dog underneath the desk
he is.
In the studio. Matt's
I have no
dog
idea how.
is fast asleep, and I have no idea how with the racing that is going on in front of us on the screens today. None of these riders are sleeping today. Well, they may well sleep tonight because they're going to need the recovery.
They are.
But right now, the race is on, and the race is on all the way to the finish line. 10 riders in this Category 1 race field, pushing on right at the front of this race. This is the Category 1 race field. Well, they are pushing on as well.
Do you know what? Filippo Quadrelli is in here. So is Alberto Zapata. Zapata's behind. I'm trying to work out who are the Category 2 riders in there. They are doing a really good ride. They're sat in here, really smart move. Stay in as long as you can. Now, with these riders, they're about to come to the polka dot banner that indicates the start of the climb, the penultimate climb, Quermont climb. It is 2 to go in terms of official climbs. They hit that banner, and this is where you're going to see a move now. Mr. X100 has started winding early here. He's gone up to the front of the group. He was instantly up to 6 watts per kilo. He wants to make this tough from the go. He wants to keep it a consistently hard pace. He has got company. Ollie Jones straight on the wheel in that blue cap. As we go back to Category 4, they're on the way in towards finish. These are your leaders. They are going to keep on kicking here. And at the moment, it's Kalman who is opening up the throttles here. He wants to stay clear of Orego, Tortoretto, Kalangad, Neville Ross, Winfield, Dadson, all working hard in this group. Kalangad in that polka dot skin suit here. We're at 800 meters to go, and Kalman is keeping on putting the pressure on. Now he's ramped it up. He's gone from 4 to 6.5 watts per kilo as they go onto this slope. He's using this to accelerate. He's got a gap to Winfield, a gap to Tortoretto. Can he keep the pressure on? Kalman, this is the world's longest lead out. Can he break them? He's keeping the pressure on. Kalangad is coming. Orego's on his heels as well. Oh, Orego's got over the top now. He's leading this out, but Kalman has responded again. They are kicking this more times than a football team kicking a sack around a field, because do you know what? This is going to come down to who can hold this pace. Has anybody got a full-on sprint left? Who's going to open up early? Who's going to be the first to blink? There's a big kick going, and it looks to me like it's going to be Winfield who's going to lead them out. So Winfield goes, but Arego's got over the top at 6.5 watts per kilo. He's got Kalman on his hill, but Nicholas Arego, he's winding this up. He can see the finishing line. Can he stay clear? Neville Ross is coming at 10 watts per kilo behind him. Neville Ross comes up on his shoulder. He's got on the right-hand side. Neville Ross is going to get it. It's Andrew Neville Ross takes the win here today. Arego in second, Kalman in third, Winfield in fourth, Toretto in fifth. What a ride. What timing by Neville Ross. That was some race finish.
Neville Ross was second last week, taking the win this week in Category 4. That was a scrap for the last 900 metres in that Category 4 race field. Arego went so early, there was no way he could stay out front. He tried and he dug and he tried, but it was Neville Ross who took that in the end. Well, it's going to be Category 3 who are our next riders coming in to the finish line. They've still got 1,000 metres to go as Alejandro Largo is in the mix with Juan Martin Messer. They are neck and neck. There's 5 seconds back to the chasers. It looks like it's going to be a 2-up sprint into the finish line unless Cusimano has got anything to say about it.
Well, don't discount Paolo Cusimano as they come in. Alejandro Largo winding on the front. Messer sitting on his heels. He's making the most of watching him go. They've got to get the timing right. You saw that in the previous finish here. So Messer goes on the left-hand side here. Largo responds. Largo now kicks again. Has Largo got the right timing? He's gone over the top, but Messer is coming back at him again. This is Amado Amado, but they've got Cusimano not all that far. They cannot relax for a second here, and we have seen riders come from behind on the flat section over the top. They've got to drive on to that level section. At the moment, the man who's in the driving seat is Largo, but he's going to be pushed aside here by Messer. They are taking turn and turn about to lead this out. Who will be at the front of the only time it really matters? That's the line. Alejandro Largo is the first one to go over 7 watts per kilo, but behind they're trying to kick. I'm not sure they've got an answer to him. Messer is kicking again at 10 watts per kilo. Is he going to roll him as they come towards the line? He is. It's going to be a side-by-side. It's going to be ahead. It is Juan Martin Messer who takes it ahead of Alejandro Largo. Paolo Cusimano should come through to take third place, but Murtry's got over the top of it. This is going to come down to that finish. Juan Martin Messer taking a fantastic run at the line. Don't go too early. Go with somebody else and go over the top in the last few hundred meters. I hope all the other categories are watching because, my goodness, that is a sprint masterclass from categories 4 and 3.
The climb on the run into the finish line is really catching our riders out in the latter stages of this race, because if you kick too early and go for a long run, you're getting caught on that climb. The later kicks coming on the flat section into the finish line are paying dividends for our riders. Messer finished third last week on the outer loop in Australia. He's just taken top spot in category 3 on the course in Belgium today. Category 2, Category 1, they are still on the run into the finish line. It's going to be Category 2, I think, next. But take a look at the size of the group. That is still a really big group with 3 kilometres to go.
This is going to be tight as they come in. It's going to need to break this time. You do not want to be leading out a big group going in. That's in our category 2. In category 1, Pim van Diemen on the move here. He's winding up as he comes off that descent. He is looking to keep people under pressure as they come in. Jones goes to the front in that blue cap at the moment, but quickly rolls around. Safrasetti in the mix. He goes over the top. Then I think it'll be Kroll who rolls through with Jones again going hard here. Jones just rolls his way onto the front. Nobody's easing off. These riders still have 4.3 kilometers to go. They still have a substantial distance to the finish. They've rolled across the flat section of the descent into part 2 of the descent of the Quermont climb. So coming off the Quermont, descending down, making the way in towards the tunnels that lead them in to the Patenberg. Into the Inferno they go. It's time to head into the subterranean tunnels. Will they be able to break the group on the Paterberg, or will it come down to a sprint in our Category 1 run for the line? I can't imagine that anybody in that group is going to go yet. I think they're going to wait for the climb. Onto the Paterberg come Category 2, right-hand side of your screen. This could be decisive. It should shed riders if they've got this right. They're going to catch a lot of riders on the climb as well, which is going to make things even more confusing for them as they go up. We're in with Phil Graves, right-hand side of your screen. You can see those red chevrons, the riders pushing up the Paterberg climb here. The climb itself, it may only be 400 meters, but it's a critical 400 meters. You won't necessarily win the race here, but you could well lose it, get distance here. You're going to be in trouble. You're going to have to really work to come back.
They are out of the torchlight and into the daylight. They can see the polka dot banner at the moment, signifying the top of the Paterberg. It's not the final climb. They've got another kick before the finish, but it will signify less than 2 kilometers to the finish. So Caen, Bendetti, both Caens actually with Spratt, Bjarhed, Van He in here. Mendakowitz is here as well. Ritter is on the front. This is a class field of Category 2 riders. There are 13 of them in the mix.
So 13 riders on the right-hand side of your screen. One rider on the attack on the left of your screen. Mr. X100 has got a second gap. You can see as he's come in towards the base of the climb. The UAE clan team rider has gone on the offensive early. He's wanting to use more distance than the 400 meters of the climb, and he's going to roll on it at pace. Will they close him down? This chasing group on the left of your screen of Category 1 riders are coming onto the climb in pursuit of Mr. X100, and they may well bring him back on the climb. He's going to be absorbed by the group. How many will be left to contest the sprint? They are the left-hand side of your screen. Right-hand side of your screen, they're approaching 1 kilometer to go in the Category 2 race, the final 1,000 meters. Now, straight run, bend to the right, raises up, levels off as you come around the left-hand bend, getting the timing right key. Burke and Caen in here with a monster kick. Will they take this out? But Cam Winfield, a man who took a sprint win, memorable sprint win in the MyWhoosh Championship last year, is right in here as well. Never discount Cam Winfield in a sprint. This will be a cracker.
Bjarhed is in the mix as well as Van He. Trojanowski on the front going early. So is Ritter. They've still got 600 meters to go. This is the climb. Is this too early for the finish? Is this just the preamble? As Mendakowitz comes towards the front, Ritter, Trojanowski, Winfield, Bjarhed, Van He, Caen. They are all in here.
So here goes Mendakowitz. He's got the lead. He's got the gap from Winfield. Winfield's up at 10.6 watts per kilo. In pursuit behind. Can he close down the gap? He's on to the heels of Mendakowitz, and Mendakowitz has got to answer this. Has Winfield gone too early? Bert Caen's coming at 10 watts per kilo behind him. This is about getting the timing right. Over the top goes Mendakowitz, and here comes Caen. He's going through, so it looks like Bert Caen is going to take it. He times it to perfection. Bert Caen from Maciej Mendakowitz, and then it's going to be Cam Winfield. Your 1, 2, 3. What a ride by Bert Caen to take the victory behind Lionel Vujasin on the offensive. Now, he attacked up the Paterberg, and he has got a 6-second gap. Vujasin has wanted to win in Belgium. He wants to take this away. He knows the climbs. He knows the territory. Has he done enough? He's gone hard. He's going at 7.5 watts per kilo. And behind him, they are not coming fast enough to close this down. I think he's not leaving it to chance. He should be soloing to victory. Up the climb he comes. Lionel Vujasin on form, on fire, and on that final climb.
He's wanted this for a long time. That is a win in Belgium on this course on the Sunday Race Club. 10 watts per kilo at the moment, but he's still got 500 meters to go. Can the riders behind come up and over in the sprint? Can they get their timing right? Well, we are about to find out.
Here we go. We're into 300 meters to go, 250 meters to go. He's going to come underneath the archway here. He sees the gantry at 200 meters to go. They're coming behind him, but they're not coming quick enough. Lionel Vujassin opened the gap. He attacked on the Paterberg. Victory for the Belgian rider, Lionel Vujassin. Your race victory in Category 1 here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
Well, Onnie Jones coming over the line in 2, Safrazadi in 3, Van Elst looking like he's coming over in 4th place. It was 6 riders who really pushed on up the Paterberg climb. Van Diemen is in there as well. I think we're going to need to take a look at those results to see the order the riders have come through as we watch X100 and Kroll come over the line.
What a race. What a finish for Justin from Jones, from Safrazadi, from Van Elst and Van Diemen. There you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Michael Knudsen in 6, Mr. X100 in 7, Christoph Kroll in 8, Bert Kahn leading home at the Category 2 competition. And the riders in Categories 1, 2, 3 and 4 doing some amazing rides here today on the Belgian course that never disappoints. It is a fantastic race route, irrespective of whenever and whatever time we come to it. A quick reminder, please do remember that we are on different times next week, so make sure that you tune in at the right time. If you're watching, make sure you get your warm-up right if you are going to be riding the way through. Fantastic racing. All the results up on mywhoosh.com/results. It's been a pleasure putting words to action. You can keep up with me at Matt Fixpain. You can keep up with Emma at biking_Emma. Thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe. Make sure you catch up with the riders that are coming up on YouTube. Great video coming up. But from all of the team at MyWhoosh, from Indy the Trail Dog under the desk, from Emma Martin and myself, Matt Payne, enjoy your riding. Stay safe. Ramadan Mubarak.
We pay these athletes a lot of money each month. We push them to their max. It's supposed to be hard. The courses that we use are difficult. The racing is hard. There's no room for sandbagging in what we're doing. Only after testing we get to see their true performance and validate their numbers.